and strategists that specialised in setting up businesses. We understand the client and give them the very best customised advice and strategies to achieve their goals. Visit our website dkpco.com.au or give us a call today on 03 9023 9370. Fast, proactive, personal. That's DKP & Co Chartered Accountants.
We are more than engineers. We are more than project managers. We are more than surveyors. We are more than infrastructure specialists. We are more than planners. So, who are we? We are problem solvers, providing the highest quality service and results. We are a team of skilled professionals, focused on customer needs and outcomes. We are 23 years of industry experience, adhering to the highest safety standards. We are Melbourne, and we are right across Victoria. We are the Lanco Group, your business partner for engineering solutions. Lanco Group. We are more than you realise, and we are ready to partner with you.
Western United, can they find something here? Big chance, Barissa! He's done it again! And it's a goal! Unbelievable! What about this? Dylan Barrios, his first touch of the game. Sanchez! Western United do claim the 3 points. And Diamanti again! Oh, he's done it! Twice! He's chipped a keeper!
Presented by Simonds. It's the Green Room on FNR. Football Nation Radio.
Usually in the media business, being a fanboy is frowned upon. Usually it's discouraged to cheerlead in the press box or on these shows. We try and stay neutral and give a point of view that is free of bias. But we're making a little exception this week for Hearts fan Lachie Flanagan, who's very excited about our guest this week on the Green Room. Lachie, tell us about who we've got waiting on the line.
Well, look, as you can see, we usually love to wear a bit of Western United branded merch. There is so much great merch, and we are lucky enough to get a lot of it. But it's all hanging up behind us at the moment. So I thought, what's the next best thing I can do? Well, when you've got a player like Ben Garuccio coming on the show, a new Western United face and a former Hearts man, there's really nothing else that I could have picked out of the football kit wardrobe.
Ben Garuccio joins us now. New signing at Western United. Ben, it's just as well you didn't come into the studio today because I think Lachie would be asking for selfies, autographs. I've really stitched him up here.
I've really been thrown under the bus quite colossally here. I can leave you two to it if you like.
Welcome to the Green Room, Ben.
His face is going as maroon as his...
Welcome to Western United. How'd you find your first game on the weekend?
Yeah, it was really good. It was obviously for me very long awaited. It was a long pre-season. Obviously we did about 17 weeks, so it was pretty crazy. But yeah, it was great to be out there. Obviously we didn't get the result that we wanted, but obviously it's the first game of a long season. And victory obviously are going to be I've got an intruder here.
You can't see it at home, but there's a lovely dog that has just entered right of frame. Tell us about your dog.
She's not allowed to be on the couch actually, so she's just on a sneaky here, and I think she knows I can't tell her off at the moment. So yeah, she's just jumped up here with me. So she's lapping it up.
Well, you've come across from Melbourne City. Tell us about the pitch the club made to you. What inspired you to sign on the dotted line for the West?
Yeah, obviously, I spent 2.5 years in Edinburgh with Hearts, and at that stage, I thought it was the right time to come back, with everything going on in the world with COVID and all those sorts of things combined. I thought it would be a good decision to come home. And at that time, it was, between a few clubs, and Western were actually one of them. And in the end, things just happen in football and in negotiations. And I ended up at Melbourne City, which, turned out to be a really good season that we had last year. Obviously, we won it. And, that was the first piece of silverware I've won in my whole career. So I think, sort of maybe everything happens for a reason. But on a personal note, I didn't play as much as I would have liked to. So, I've got that burning desire in me to play and to achieve the best that I can as a player. And I thought it would be, time to move on. And, as I said, I was already interested in Western United before coming back. And we sort of started talks again. And then one thing led to another. And, they were waiting to sign a coach. And then, the day after they signed Aloisi, who I've previously worked with. So everything sort of fell into line this time. And, it just felt like the right move for me. And to be honest, since coming over, I've loved it. The club's been fantastic. The lads, we've got a top group of lads. So, I'm loving my time here so far.
Yeah, well, you sort of touched on it there, the fact that John came across, I'm sure, helped you two being familiar to one another. Obviously, he's learnt a lot since those days. He's had, different experiences at different A-League clubs as well. But, what was it about John as a coach that sort of helped ease that process of making the decision to, put on a green and black jersey?
Yeah, I suppose, familiarity always helps. When you know that someone knows you and knows the qualities you have, it always makes life a little bit easier, especially in a transition process like I was going to be in. So that was one thing that comforted me. But, just hearing about the club, boys like Lachie Wales that had transitioned from City to Western, and, he speaks really highly of the club and he loves it here as well. So when you hear things like that, and then you see the group of boys that we've got, and even the backroom staff, you can't say a bad word about anyone at the club. And I think, all the work they've done in this pre-season to get us to where we are now, the squad that they've assembled, our new training facilities at Essendon Footy Club is, I would say probably the best in the league. Everything they've done from the start to the finish has been fantastic. And, for me, as a player, I feel like I've made the right decision 1,000%. So I'm really happy here.
Tell us about the facilities at the hangar where you're training now. It's been a long pre-season, so I guess those facilities have got a fair workout so far.
Yeah, it's honestly unbelievable. I think there wouldn't be, aside from those top leagues in Europe, I think, most clubs in Europe wouldn't even have facilities like this. These clubs are the real deal. They've got everything you could ask for and more at the hangar. So it's honestly unbelievable. And it does make, going into training every day, so much easier. You're going into amazing facilities. There's everything there that you can use, and that helps you to become a better player, whether it's, doing recovery in the pool or the ice baths or spa, or, when you've got a gym that's got 100 different machines. So yeah, even for the boys, I had a small injury in pre-season, and even the boys now that are injured, for them, it makes a huge difference because they're able to use these fantastic facilities, and it helps with their rehab, in the gym, altitude chamber to get fitness back. Just small things like that, they make a huge difference and also make the rehab process a lot easier as well.
Well, a lot of, fans that have probably seen you play and know your qualities as an attacking fullback from your time at Adelaide, from your time at City and, Hart before that. But I'm going to have to go into it just a little bit. Maybe not as many people know about your time at Hearts. And it was probably a little bit of a different experience to the other clubs that you've played for, not just in the sense that, it's playing over in Europe and that sort of thing, but I guess it would be fair to say that it was also a bit of a challenging time for you as well, in the sense that you really came out of the blocks and started very well with the club. You were in Socceroos camps at the time, of course, before, apologies for bringing it up, but, a very unfortunate injury that you sustained, obviously doing your ACL in, I think it was in training, if I'm not mistaken. I can't imagine, and I'm sure the fans watching can only imagine how difficult that would have been. But that experience over on the other side of the world in a different club, how did you manage that time, and what did you learn about yourself, not just as a player but as a person that's taken you to where you are today?
Yeah, obviously, those times, those tough times, those dark times are when you do learn the most about yourself. And you can take a step back and sort of reflect on everything you're doing. And I think before that, I went through basically my whole career as probably I would say 95% of young players do, that, you know, you think you're invincible, you think you're never going to get a bad injury, you know, sort of floated through. And I never really worried about the one percenters, you know, whether it's what you're eating, if you're getting a good sleep, hydration, really the small details, but they do make all the difference. And, you know, I remember, you know, the week leading up to the injury, I was not getting good sleep. I wasn't hydrated. We came back in after an international break. We had like double sessions the whole week, and it was in one of the last sessions that, you know, an afternoon session. And I literally just turned, as I would a million different times before, and I did my knee. And, you know, it's not until you do something like that when you're out of the field for 10 months that you actually can step back and go, well, did I actually prepare myself right? Was my body 100% at that time? And I would, you know, argue that no, it wasn't at that time, and I paid a pretty severe consequence. But it's also allowed me to look back at my time before that and say, you know, I wasn't doing this, I wasn't doing that, I wasn't, you know, worried about hydration and food and sleep and things like this. And you know, I think that's allowed me to become a much better professional. And, you know, I think if you spoke to majority of players, it would be something like that you know, force them to change, you know, whether it's a serious injury or, you know, potentially taking a backward step in your career, or maybe not getting a contract or something like that, for people to actually step back and go, you know what I'm doing is not enough and not good enough. And that's how you can hopefully improve.
And you've obviously got access to those facilities now at the hangar, to link it back to what we were talking about before, to, you know, keep your body in peak physical condition. What is your kind of training regimen look like now, and your routine that you've adopted since that injury, and since you've had some time to think about your off the field stuff and your training preparation and so forth?
Yeah, just now, as I said, it really is just tiny little details. But, you know, I never worried too much about, you know, going in the gym before training and getting my muscles, you know, prepped, and, you know, we call it prehab. You know, I never worried about that. I was just a young lad. I would go out in the field before training, start smashing balls around. I never felt sore. And then, you know, you get an injury like that and you're like, far out, I better make sure, you know, whether it's, you know, you got a tight hammy, I better make sure my hammy's really switched on before I go out to training, to make sure that, you know, it's well serviced and well prepared for the session. Because it is something as small as that. You know, you can have a tight hammy, you don't do anything about it. You know, you go out to training and you maybe, you know, haven't eaten well the night before, and you got a bad sleep and you're dehydrated. And, you know, all it takes is one little movement, or you get a nudge the wrong way, and there you go, you've done your hammy, and then you're out for, you know, 10, 12 weeks through something that could have been avoided just by looking after yourself and potentially being a bit smarter. So it is really just those small things. And, you know, they probably sound like nothing, probably sound pretty boring. But, you know, I think all the top pros all around the world do all of those small things right. And that's why they are on the pitch most of the time.
Let's rewind pre-injury to your time at Hearts. I mean, you were flying for a little while there. Tell us about that experience in Edinburgh, in a football city where, you know, they live and breathe the game. What was the buzz like breaking into the first team, scoring that free kick?
Yeah, it was unbelievable. Like, I really didn't know what to expect. I didn't know too much about the club before going over. So, you know, it was, the way it came about was, you know, an agent called and they said, you know, this club's pretty interested in you. And I was like, all right, cool, yeah. And they go, they're going to track you. And I go, all right, no worries. And I didn't really think too much of it, to be honest. And then literally the day we got knocked out of the finals, we played Victory. And the day after, I got a call and they were like, all right, are you ready to fly over? And I was like, not that I forgot about it, but I thought it had gone. I hadn't really heard too much about it. And I was like, all right, like, so we sort of started getting everything prepared. And then, you know, before I knew it, I was on a flight over to Edinburgh to do, you know, a medical and to sign. And it wasn't until I actually got there, it was obviously like a bit of apprehension, a bit of nerves and things like that. But when I actually got there to the city, I was like, oh, this feels a lot like Australia, but it's just freezing cold. And then, you know, after that, the transition was easy. You know, when I saw the stadium for the first time, when I saw the training facilities, I was like, wow, this club is the real deal. And, you know, probably a lot of people talk down on Scottish football, but the experience I had there, the way the fans, not just in football but rugby, they are crazy. Like a city with 500,000 people, and they get 20,000 to their game every week. Like, it's not until you hear that you're like, wow, they live and breathe it over there. They really do. I think I got over there and I was loving it. I was enjoying the training. Got to the first game and I think we were drawing 0-0. I think it was against maybe Inverness Inverness was the game I scored. The game before that, I think we played maybe Airdrie or someone. And we were drawing 0-0 at half time and we got booed off the park. And I was like, all right, this is a little bit different to Australia. So, there is obviously that transition process. But, after that, we got a few good results and I managed to break my way into the team. And, over there, it is very different. There's super competitive for positions. I found it tough at times. And, it got to a stage where I got myself back in the team and I played, I think, 8 or 9 games in a row. And that's when I did my knee. So I was like, it was a bit of a bumpy ride, to be honest. Like, I never felt like I got that season under my belt where I could just nail my spot down and go from there. So it did, if I look back on my time, I would have loved it to go another way. But also, I wouldn't change it for the world. The experience was unbelievable and it helped me grow as a player. So, I loved my time over there.
Yeah, well, the other thing as part of that experience that we touched on before is that, you were involved in Socceroos camps around that period. I think it was maybe sometime in 2019 that you were in, 2018, sorry, that you were in Turkey. Being at a club like Western, where at least on the evidence of this Saturday, we'll talk more about the game later, but, being in a position and in a club where, it feels like the approach is quite well suited to your strengths as a player. It feels like you're playing in a position and a role where we're really going to see the best of Ben Garuccio that we've seen in previous A-League seasons. To bring it back to the Socceroos, is that something that's still an ambition of yours, to kick yourself into, a good bit of form and maybe look at that national team setup? Of course, your fellow fullback Josh Riston has had and probably got similar ambitions too.
Yeah, of course. Like, it's always something that's in the back of your head, but it never happens if you're not playing well at club level. And like, I basically just want to play well every game at club level. And, the repercussions of that are potential call-ups and things like that. But I never think about that. I never think, I need to play well because I want to make the Socceroos or I need to make the Socceroos. It's just, can I put my best foot forward every week to make sure that I can play every week? That's essentially what you want to do. You want to play well. You want to nail your spot down and be a helpful role in the team. You want to provide that for the team and help the team as much as you can. And as you touched on, I think the style of football that we play will allow me to play my best stuff. As you said, I'm an attacking fullback. When I can get forward, when I can put crosses in the box, get shots away, that's when I'm at my best. So far in the first 2 games, I've loved it, to be honest. I've been able to get forward. To be honest, yeah, as you said, I have felt like, previous A-League seasons. So if I can get back to that, I think I can help the team, yeah.
Well, I guess I think that segues, quite nicely into the weekend's game. And, certainly we saw plenty of attacking from yourself and Josh in the fullback positions, which I can only imagine is something that, John's encouraged you to do ahead of the start of the season. The thing we didn't expect to see quite as much, though, was to see that same propensity and desire to bomb on from the 2 centre-backs that you've got either side of you in Tomoki and Leo. As a fullback, how do you feel when your centre-back sort of looks towards you and says, I'm going on a bit of an adventure, and starts sauntering their way up the field? Because they both did it quite a few times.
Yeah, I'm scared. Big Leo just started. I'm waiting for him to play it to me, just an easy ball outside, and who knows? And he just starts going on amazing, and I'm like, oh my god. Everyone's just like hoping for the best, expecting the worst. But Leo went on a couple of mazies, and Tomoki loves a mazie as well. But they get through. They get through the big lads. I think it's like that element of surprise for the other team. No one expected it, and they sort of just they take a few steps and they pass like 4 players. But obviously when you see your centre back go in, you need to cover him, and even if he does lose the ball, you got to make sure everyone's in the right position. That even though he's out of the game, it won't be too dangerous. So, but no, Leo's a machine. He's an animal, and same with Tomoki on the other side. He's a machine, absolute machine, that guy. So, the 2 boys we've got there are mountains, and they're also comfortable with the ball at their feet, which is only going to help the team.
Yeah, well, I'm not sure if this still holds, but last year. Tomoki's nickname, at least according to Ryan Scott, was the Mocky Monster. So it certainly speaks to what you're saying about his qualities as a machine. But you are right about those centre-backs pushing on. It seems to be that they get to about like halfway before anyone realises what it is they're actually doing. Like they both got a fair way up the pitch. Neither of them were able to get a shot off or anything like that. But you imagine that as the season goes on, they'll keep trying it. If you had to back one of Tomoki or Leo in a finishing drill, which one do you reckon's got the best chance of launching one from distance and sticking it in the back of the net?
I don't reckon I've ever seen Tomoki take a shot.
He looked like he was going to get a nosebleed. He was that far up the pitch.
Got a nosebleed. He dribbled about 5 players, and then he just passed out to Lachie and he kicked it out for a throw-in. I reckon if he was dribbling himself, he would have scored. But so I have to say Leo, because Leo actually doesn't mind it. He gets involved in the shooting drills sometimes, gets in the box, gets a header away. So I'd have to say Leo just based on that.
Well, it was a tight game. It was a little bit of a cagey game, week 1. I don't think either side, wanted to risk too much, and, a goal off a set piece, there wasn't much in it. How did you rate the performance overall? Because John Aloisi in the post-match press conference was very positive and said he saw a lot of good things to build on.
Yeah, I think if you look, before the game and, what the coaches want from us and, the structure that they want and the way that they want us to play, I think if we look back at that, and we have looked back at that, we really did execute that well, to be honest. Victory for all the players they've got. I don't think they really created that much against us in open play. And, neither did we, you could say. But I do remember Paney had a half chance in the second half, and it was always going to be one of those games. I could feel it out there that there was only going to be maybe a goal in it, and unfortunately for us, it came from a set piece, which for us is frustrating, because we've worked a lot on set pieces and things like that, but it happens all over the world. That's where games are won and lost sometimes. So, it's something for us to look back on. And, I've said it before that it's round 1. I think we did a good job for being in round 1 for a new coach, a new team. But I also said that, we don't want to make an excuse that, we played well, but we lost. We want to be a team that wins. We want to be successful this year. And, we want to be pushing for finals and trophies at the end of the day. So, no one's happy with a loss, and we want to turn it around and get those good results and start getting wins on the board as soon as possible.
Yeah, and of course you've also got, players still to come into this team, players who are still getting match fitness and match minutes. There seems to be a sort of consensus that, it was a solid start, even if the result didn't go your way. But there's certainly more to come from what you guys can put out on the park.
Oh, 100%, and we went over to the fans and they clapped us off and they cheered us. But at the same time, we want to be winning for those fans. We want them to come back. We want them to enjoy the style of football we're playing. Obviously it was a little bit disappointing the back end of last year. But I think we've got a top squad, and we can be challenging right up the top of the ladder this year.
Speaking of winning, we've heard rumours of a secret team song that it is sung in the change rooms after a win. Did you sing it after the Newcastle Jets FFA Cup qualifier?
We did sing it. There was about half of the team with laminated paper in front of them. we didn't know what was going on, and I'm looking over someone's shoulders trying to see the words. So it wasn't maybe the best rendition that they've ever done, but yeah, we did sing it.
So the plan, the goal to this season is not just to win, but to make sure as a consequence or as an extension, you know those lyrics like off the top of your head, like easy.
It's like when the foreigners come to the league and it's Anzac round and the national anthem's going and they're just like, whoa, what's going on here?
Well, actually, Ben, speaking of singing, we didn't get a chance to ask you this earlier, but I just want to go straight back to your early days at the start of your time at Western United. It's quite a cliche thing that as a player initiation, you've got players getting up and singing a song. Was that something you had to do when you first got there, or was there another initiation that you had to very enthusiastically undergo, I'm sure?
No, actually, I haven't sung yet, but it's usually the first away trip. So the night before the game, all the songs are done. And if you don't do it, different clubs have got different rules, but usually it's a hefty fine.
So what you're saying is you're safe for at least another week?
Yeah, well, basically we don't play for, I think, the first 6 rounds. Yeah. So I've had more than enough time to practice a song. I think by that time I'll be belting one out.
do you know what you're going to sing yet?
I've got a few in the repertoire.
Oh, yeah?
So it depends what I'm feeling. It could potentially be Red Hot Chili Peppers, potentially maybe Sweet Caroline. There's a lot of safe ones. Like Sweet Caroline is so safe.
Yeah, and the club uses it a walkout song as well, so you're practicing for the games.
I'm always find myself singing it as I'm walking out.
I think the media team would probably be casting a vote for you singing Sweet Caroline. I think that the fans would be on board with that one. Ben, we know you've been very generous with your time, but we'll just look quickly ahead to the game this weekend, of course, against Perth. We talked about the great job that the back four did, despite the one goal conceded from the corner. Everyone else, the whole back four did a really good job. But you guys up against Perth Glory, for obvious reasons, it's a challenge with the attacking firepower that they've got. Of course, Bruno Fornaroli scoring an absolute belter at the weekend, and Daniel Sturridge will probably be hoping to play a little bit more than 9 minutes against you boys. As a defender, how do you feel about that challenge upcoming on the weekend? Excited?
I'm buzzing. I'm a Liverpool.
Good.
I'm watching Sturridge bend them in with the outside of that left peg. In I think it was the Europa League. Was it Europa League final? I think.
Yeah. Our Liverpool supporting producer and Western United team member Nick Hughes is nodding his head. So yes, that is right.
Of course, that's what you want. That you want to be up against the best players, and that'll be cool to play against someone like that. I just I hope I'm not giving him half a yard for him to do that. So when you get onto the field, you forget about all of that, and you take the game as it comes, as if you're playing anyone. But we are aware that they've got players like that. Even Bruno, I've played with him. He can do things like he did on the weekends. In a split second, he's that type of player. So we just have to be wary of that. But at the end of the day, we always say it inside. You go back to your structures and you go back to what you've worked on in pre-season and what our structure is and what we represent. If we can fall back on that, then we'll always be doing well. We believe in ourselves to keep those goals out of the net.
So I don't want to distract you from the game too much, Ben. Of course, you got your job to do. But can we just ask you, if you find yourself marking Sturridge, say from a set piece situation, or if he drifts out to your flank, can you just give us an update on the trim? Because he was very fussy about his barber selection. I don't know if you saw his Instagram stories when he was stuck in quarantine in Perth, but he had very high demands of his hairdressing, and we just want to know if the hairline is on point.
Yeah, I might, or I'm probably not the best person to wind him up because my hair is disappearing by the day. I can't even hammer him because he'll just turn around and go like, "Man, look at your hairline." But maybe I'll get one of the other lads that's got a decent hairline to give him a stick and just say that the barber maybe botched him up a little bit.
Who's the best trash talker in the team? We spoke a little bit to Dylan Wenzel-Halls last week because he's got a bit of a reputation having tousled, again, hair-themed Ryan Grant's mullet last season.
Yeah, Wenzy's a funny guy. Like, he's probably one of the funniest guys in the change room. Like, everyone loves him, and but he does get the piss taken out of him a fair bit, Wednesdays. But he takes it well, and he's a legend. But I would have to say, I reckon Lachie Wales, just because that guy can talk underwater. I'd be surprised if there's a fullback in the league that hasn't had a full-blown conversation with him on the pitch. The guy just does not leave you alone. So I reckon it'd have to be him. Like, if you rub him up the wrong way, he'll just give you plenty. So I reckon Walesy.
The Coastie, of course.
Yeah, we had the privilege of bumping into Lachie and a few of the other Western boys when we were in Tasmania last year, and I think we can probably attest to that as well, actually. That checks out.
Lachie loves it. It's 8 o'clock in the morning, you just rolled out of bed and you walk into the change room and this guy is just like motor mouth. He doesn't. When I first got there, I was like, man, is he for real, this guy? But you got to love it.
Well, Ben, thank you so much for joining us here on the Green Room. Best of luck against Perth Glory on Friday night, and you know, good luck coming up against one of your footballing heroes in Daniel Sturridge. That's going to be one to remember, I'm sure. But we'll be sure to catch up with you later on in the season. Welcome to Western United, and best of luck for the rest of it.
Cheers, guys. Thanks for having me.
Ben Garuccio, our guest today on the Green Room. We've got another one coming up on the other side of this break, though, Lachie. Director of Football, Steve Horvat. We're going to ask him what his job is, which is more exciting than you might stand. It's a complicated position. Bruce Gite wrote an article about it recently for Keep Up. Part accountant, part talent scout, all visionary.
Let's see what it means to Steve.
Absolutely. On the other side of this break here on the Green Room, presented by Simonds Homes.
We are more than engineers. We are more than project managers. We are more than surveyors. We are more than infrastructure specialists. We are more than planners. So, who are we? We are problem solvers, providing the highest quality service and results. We are a team of skilled professionals, focused on customer needs and outcomes. We are 23 years of industry experience, adhering to the highest safety standards. We are Melbourne, and we are right across Victoria. We are the Lanco Group, your business partner for engineering solutions. Lanco Group. We are more than you realise, and we are ready to partner with you.
Are you looking to change your destiny in life? Be your own boss? Start your own business? If you are, you need people who understand your needs and are committed to helping you make it happen. At DKP & Co Chartered Accountants, we are more than just accountants. We are business advisors, taxation consultants, and strategists that specialise in setting up businesses. We understand the client and give them the very best customised advice and strategies to achieve their goals. Visit our website, dkpco.com.au, or give us a call today on 03 9023 9370. Fast, proactive, personal. That's DKP & Co Chartered Accountants.
With this great sporting nation who has yet to embrace fully the world's greatest game, and for so long of trying to have the game accepted. When I'm up to the big football field in the sky, I just want people just to remember I told you so.
And suddenly the complexion of the game changes. Let's hope it doesn't, but this is the best period for Iran in the match. Danger for Australia here, the flag's down! It's an equaliser!
You just feel for them, not just the boys, they are representative of so many people who make this game their life. It's just, I can't say anything.
All right. Especially as they have the impetus. Aloisi. Cahill. Cahill! Tim Cahill has done it again! What a goal by Tim Cahill! 2-1 Australia! Oh, it's a wonderful moment in Kaiserslautern! And Tim Cahill has come off the bench and maybe won the match for the Socceroos.
You're listening to FNR, Football Nation Radio.
year. Big chance, Barissa. He's done it again. And it's a goal. Unbelievable. What about this? Dylan Barrios, his first touch of the game. Sanchez. Western United do claim the 3 points. And Diamante again. Oh, he's done it twice. He's chipped a keeper.
Presented by Simonds. It's the Green Room on FNR, Football Nation Radio.
And we're back here on the official Western United Club show on FNR Football Nation Radio. It's the Green Room presented by Simonds Homes, the great Australian builder. I'm Josh Parrish. I've got Lachie Flanagan here with me. And next, joining us in the Green Room is Western United Football Director Steve Horvat. Steve, welcome back to FNR.
Thanks, guys, and good to be on.
It's fantastic to have this show back, just so we get to talk to people like yourself and give a bit of behind-the-scenes look at the A-League's most ambitious club. We'll start with the game over the weekend. Obviously a disappointing result, but what did you take out of it?
Yeah, it was probably like all the games on the weekend, pretty cagey affairs. You know, there was a lot of draws. There was probably only one goal in any of the results. So it's probably been really tough for a lot of the teams this season in the preparation phase of pre-season because of lack of match practice and game opportunities. So you're probably going to find the first few weeks of the season will be a little bit as we saw in week one. There were really probably no standout sort of results. But for us, a lot of positives to take away outside of the result. We really kept Melbourne Victory to very limited opportunities. I thought our back four was really excellent in a defensive capacity and plenty to work on going forward. You know, we've still got Big Alexander Prijovic to be 100% fit, but once he gets on the park and fully fit, we'll have that focal point going forward as well. So look, you know, plenty to build on. Trophies aren't handed out in round one. So, you know, plenty of work for John and his team, but I think there's a lot of exciting prospects moving forward.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's what the read that most of us took away from that game is, you know, not the result you would have desired. It did feel like one of those games where if it wasn't going to end as sort of a scoreless draw, it was going to be a corner or a penalty or a free kick or something like that. And unfortunately, just one of those ones where it didn't break your way, but definitely plenty of positives. And I thought one of the other ones as well was just the atmosphere of the game. To have people back. I mean, Victory obviously brought good travelling support, but I think both sets of fans, you know, we could hear from the press box. Like, it's so refreshing, I think, particularly in the last few years of the A-League, to be at a game where you hear both sets of fans belting it out. And it must be really pleasing for you to sit there and soak that in on a match day as well.
I mean, and I think to have the fans back in the stands, and I think from this Friday it's full capacity, so no longer 50%, which was on the weekend. So, you know, great. I mean, obviously as a player, that's what you revel in, you know, the atmosphere and the banter, and even going away from the fans of hostile, you know, you love those sort of sport. You know, obviously, you know, the sport thrives on, you know, the emotion and passion of the fans, and it's great to have them back.
Now, you were a defender yourself in your playing day, were you not, Steve?
Yes, I was indeed. That's why
I'm not sure if the FNR Wi-Fi is holding up today. We're dropping out just a little bit, Steve, but we'll push on through.
Okay.
Leo Lachie looks like an absolute Rolls Royce of a central defender based on what we saw on the weekend. Tell us about the process of signing him, how you identified him as a talent, and what he brings to the team.
Yeah, well, there's, you know, I'm on a lot of committees, football committees, and one of those is a recruitment committee where, you know, we look at a whole host of players and look at their attributes and how they're going to fit into what we're trying to build here as a football club. You know, and he sort of popped out amongst, you know, probably 10 to 15 central defenders that we were looking at as a real player that was at the right age, possessed the attributes that we needed in our team. Obviously, there's no denying he's a man mountain, so height was one thing, but as well, the way he reads the game and actually steps out when he defends. I think it's a criticism I have of a lot of defending in this country where we tend to delay and backtrack, whereas both himself and Tomoki Mai are those type of defenders that put forward pressure on the ball. So they actually push their opposing player back towards their goal. And you just saw on the weekend and even the week before in the FFA Cup game, Leo, how many interceptions, cutouts and clean ball winners that he had in 90 minutes of football. So, yeah, he's a great player and he'll only get better. You know, I mean, all of our foreigners have only been in the country a short period of time. But, you know, not only it's what he brings on the park, but off the park as well. It's a big facet of when we recruit players, we try and find the right character that's going to fit into the squad and actually lead for us as well.
Yeah, well, I think any Western United fan listening to that, hearing Steve Horvat say that there is more to come from Leo Lacroix after the opening game must be very, very pleased. I mean, Michael Long coming through in the Facebook comments on the live stream saying, "Hi, Steve, did you check Leo's pocket to see if Chris Economidis is still there?" Certainly speaks to the quality of the game that he played on the weekend. But what I'm really interested in, Steve, you know, obviously, clearly, at least in the early signs, you've identified a really, really quality player. How do you and the rest of the team sort of work with John to over the off-season to identify what you need and which players you want to bring in? How does that process work?
Well, it's really, again, there's a committee that work through the balance of the squad and the makeup of the squad, you know. So I think we probably, moving into this season, we maybe lost a fair bit of leadership and more experienced players. So we look to top up in that area. So, you know, it's really a process amongst four of us that really sit down and have a look at, you know, where the deficiencies are and what we need to build on. And not only that, we then look at, so we look at obviously the short term, but then the long term. So you look 2, 3, 4 years out. So who are the players that are in the squad that will be the next in line in certain positions. So, you know, really it's about the balance and the makeup of the squad that's incredibly important.
Talking about the role of the football director and what it actually means, Bruce Gite, who occupied that same position, I'm sure it's different at every club, but that same role at Adelaide United, wrote recently for the Keep Up website that you're not CEO, you're not coach, and said you're part accountant, part talent scout, part mediator, and overwhelmingly chief visionary. Is that what you call yourself, Steve? Chief visionary?
Yeah, look, I'm not sure about visionary. I've sort of been around this club for, you know, since its inception. So I guess, you know, it's more around the holistic values and where the football club and its identity is going. I mean, at the moment, the big focus for us is our academy. You know, the elite part of the business is pretty set. We've got Mel Pombato, who's our general manager of football, the coaching staff, and all the team that works around there. So that's going along fine. The next phase is, and, you know, we've just employed Anthony Frost last week to be our first academy director. So I'm working very closely with him on the next generation of football players for Western United, whether that's in 2 years, 5 years, or 10 years, both boys and girls. You know, our partnership with Calder is incredibly exciting, and come next season, we'll have a W League team as well. So the club in such a short amount of time is growing incredibly quick. You know, in a couple of years, we may have between 10 and 20 teams running around in the green and black from all ages. So that to me is incredibly exciting, and that's obviously the next phase of where the club needs to get to.
Having seen the MPL3 side play a few times last season, it was a truncated year, of course, and disappointing because the side was well in the mix for promotion before the season was suspended. But some of those talents in that team were really standing out. I mean, be it Adisu Bayo, who's gone on to represent the Olyroos, be it Ajak at centre-back, I was hugely impressed by. Nicholas Milanovic, who's been making match-day squads. So already there are guys coming through. Obviously, with the program not being in operation that long, they've been signed from elsewhere, but it's a bit of a finishing school here. Tell us about the progress of those types of players and if we might see them crack into the first team this season.
Yeah, look, it was an incredible journey for us. You know, we threw that team together in the space of probably 4 to 6 weeks. We held some trials and identified players. And, you know, our philosophy moving forward for our academy will be players from the West. So players from this side of the Westgate Bridge is what we're going to focus on. And, you know, we probably were able to tick that box players from the West. So the talent.
Steve, we still got you there? Sorry, just audio dropped out there. All right, I tell you what, we'll take a short break here on the Green Room and we're going to try and get Steve on the phone the old-fashioned way, and we'll come back to finish this really interesting conversation about the academy. It's left me on tenterhooks, Lachie. So let's take a quick break.
Steve's every word.
And we'll come back very shortly on the Green Room, presented by Simonds.
Are you looking to change your destiny in life? Be your own boss? Start your own business? If you are, you need people who understand your needs and are committed to helping you make it happen. At DKP & Co Chartered Accountants, we are more than just accountants. We are business advisors, taxation consultants, and strategists that specialise in setting up businesses. We understand the client and give them the very best customised advice and strategies to achieve their goals. Visit our website, dkpco.com.au, or give us a call today on 03 9023 9370. Fast, proactive, personal. That's DKP & Co Chartered Accountants.
We are more than engineers. We are more than project managers. We are more than surveyors. We are more than infrastructure specialists. We are more than planners. So, who are we? We are problem solvers, providing the highest quality service and results. We are a team of skilled professionals, focused on customer needs and outcomes. We are 23 years of industry experience, adhering to the highest safety standards. We are Melbourne, and we are right across Victoria. We are the Lanco Group, your business partner for engineering solutions. Lanco Group. We are more than you realise, and we are ready to partner with you.
There's long throw, goalkeeper's come, hasn't got there. Harry Kewell, and then poked home by Tim Cahill. Australia have done it! 6 minutes to go, and it's a landmark moment for Australian football. Tim Cahill has scored the nation's first ever World Cup Finals goal.
You're listening to FNR, Football Nation Radio.
Western United, can they find something here? Big chance, Barissa! He's done it again! And it's a goal! Unbelievable! What about this? Dylan Barrios, his first touch of the game. Sanchez! Western United do claim the 3 points. And Diamante again! Oh, he's done it! Twice! He's chipped a keeper!
Presented by Simonds. It's the Green Room on FNR, Football Nation Radio.
Tell you what, it was a mistake to get today's broadcast produced by Paramount Plus.
Whoopsie.
No, just kidding. Wi-Fi difficulties, but we're back with Steve Horvat on the Green Room, presented by Simonds Homes. Steve, we've got you there.
Yes, back. I'm gonna hear all the jokes about the Wi-Fi being bad in Geelong now. So I don't know.
Well, tell us, you were midway through your spiel on the academy program. The team was thrown together in 4 to 6 weeks, and they were flying. Rewind, go through that for us again, because I really wanted to hear the end of that.
Yeah, look, it was a bittersweet season, I suppose, because like you guys mentioned, we were knocking on the door of promotion. And although it wasn't a focus, but we always believe that, the academy, and for young players to develop, they need to be public about it. We wanted to, try and get our academy up to either NPL 2 and in the future NPL 1. So it was, it was a pity, but again, we saw a lot of talent come through. As you mentioned, Adisu Bayu, 12 months ago wasn't known as a footballer, and all of a sudden he's playing in the Olyroos, which is incredibly exciting. And that's what these programs are about unearthing talent in the West and developing them and getting them to play not only for the green and black, but eventually, hopefully, for the Socceroos and the Matildas. So, a lot of work is going to be done in the next little while about, trying to more talent because it's out there in the western suburbs and, Geelong and Ballarat and those type of places. So it's incredibly exciting.
Well, Steve, as you've already outlined, your job as a football director just involves wearing so many different hats. What is the most rewarding and satisfying part of this job for you? Is it, as you're sort of alluding to there, getting that chance to see players come through? What is it about this job that is the most satisfying element of it?
Look, I think, obviously, at the elite level, it's so results driven, and, there's a lot of pressure to win on the weekend, and then when I was, driving up and going to all these suburban grounds like we've done for many years in the NPL and the lower leagues, and watching our young boys who aspire to play at that level, one time. And even what was really exciting and great to see as a football club, the players that were coming down from the first team squad and playing in the NPL on those weekends, they were committed to the cause. They weren't turning up and throwing their arms around and not happy that they weren't in the match day squad. They gave their all for that team. And I think that's a big reason why the team did so well. And it really helped develop the younger players like the Adjaks you mentioned, the Sabits and all these Aons and all these players that came through during the season. So really gave me a lot of joy to see that NPL team do so well, and it will do as well when we bring in the younger teams in the academy.
Got some questions coming through on the Facebook Live. Michael and Adrian both keen to know how new signing Rene Krahin is travelling and when he might be involved, because obviously with those international players coming in and the hotel quarantine, it's pretty difficult to get them, ready and raring to go match fitness wise.
Yeah, it's been really tough, and with the 14-day quarantine, and he came out of quarantine and lost a bit of weight and has not been, he's not been really doing that well on the training track. So we're just going to ease him into the season. But, hopefully he's only a few weeks.
Yeah, well, I mean, John Aloisi. Sorry to cut you off there, Steve. We just cut out a little bit there. But going back to what you said about Rene, losing a little bit of weight while he was in quarantine. I mean, John Aloisi was saying at the press conference on the weekend that he's lost 5 kilos, and not just 5 kilos of general body weight. We're talking 5 kilos of muscle, which is, for someone my size, is a terrifying thought. So I can only imagine that must have just had a massive toll on him and how it's gonna, or what it's gonna take rather to integrate him back in.
Yeah, it does, and yeah, you're right. It's really important to get the foreign spots correct, and right in the A-League, and it's something that we did a lot of work on and a lot of homework in the off season to get the right fit of players. We think we have the right mix and the right blend, so it'd be great to get him on the park, definitely.
Well, speaking of all those foreign signings, I think there might have to be a red carpet. I don't know if this is one of your roles as well, but someone is probably going to have to go out and get the red carpet for this Friday night, because there is quite a lot of stars taking the field when Perth Glory come down. Of course, they've got Big Bear Daniel Sturridge, who hopefully will, at least come off the bench, maybe even start. But you guys have got plenty of stars yourself, of course. Diamante, it almost goes without saying at this point, but Prijovic as well, someone we're hoping to see more of this weekend. It's a pretty exciting spectacle you've got on your hands at GMHBA this weekend.
No, it is, and like you said, we're not sure how much, and obviously being a Liverpool fan, I'm excited to see Daniel Sturridge as well. I think it's a great get for the A-League. But again, you've got somebody like Prijovic, and in those two strikers, there's no one with better resumes in running around in the A-League at the moment than those two. So it's going to be an incredible night of football. I mean, obviously, the last time we played at home was a crazy game that didn't do too much for my blood pressure. That finished 5-4 in our favour. Great for the neutrals, great for the fans, not great for the coaches. But if we get a game like that, then we'll be blessed.
Absolutely, and extra incentives to come down, because kids go free, under 12s, and I understand members can bring some friends along as well, free of charge.
Yeah, look, I think it's important that we, now that the crowds are at 100%, we try some initiatives to get the crowds through the gate to experience elite sport again, because I think there's still probably a lot of hesitancy in people to get out there. So it'll be a great spectacle on Friday night, kicking off round 2 and mainly in Africa.
Well, that's 7:45 kickoff at Amy Park. Western United taking on Perth Glory, who've played the reserves tonight, we understand. The kids against Melbourne Victory in their FFA Cup qualifier to make sure their first team is ready for the game. So full-strength sides going out there or near enough. Steve, before we let you go, we do want to ask you a little bit about the local boys that you've signed this season, and of course the head coach, John Aloisi. I mean, obviously the foreign players, we've gone into that and the sort of age profile, you're looking for leadership. But what has John brought to the table in terms of what he wants and the style of players that he's looking for?
I think what he's brought from day one is incredible work ethic. He's first in, last out, leads by example, and I think that's really rubbed off on the playing group. And it's no secret that we didn't finish the season in great shape last time around. So it was really important to have someone come in that was a great communicator, could really talk to the players on their level, but also be hard when he needed to be. And I go to training and I see a group of players that want to be out there. There's smiles on faces. They're still putting in the work, but there's a real joy to what they do day in, day out. So I think you're going to see that rub off throughout the season. Yeah. So really exciting.
Yeah, and I think it's something that we've had all of the guests who've been lucky enough to have on the Green Room so far. I think the consistent theme from Prijevic in the first episode to Ben this week is mentioning that culture and the sort of off-field energy that exists. It must be so pleasing to see a head coach, that you've been responsible in appointing, get that buy-in from a playing group just so quickly, and it must set you up really well for the season ahead.
Yeah, it does. And, it's an obvious one when you bring somebody like John Aloisi, that he has that respect immediately for his playing career. But I think you've got to earn that respect as a coach, and he's earned that with our playing group really quickly. So it's great to see, and I'm really excited for the season.
Steve, you got one more?
I've got one final one, just because bringing up Ben Garuccio jogged my memory. Of course, that means we've had 2 Liverpool fans on this evening, both making mention of Daniel Sturridge. So at Amy Park, the question is, we've got Ben Garuccio, we've probably got Steve Horvat, and maybe a queue of others lining up to potentially ask for a jersey swap with Studge. Who wins that battle?
Swaps. There'll be no jersey swaps from me, no selfies, no autographs.
So you're happy to let Ben Garuccio win that battle? Or fight it with other people?
Go for his life, all good.
Well, it'll be easier to take home Daniel Sturridge's jersey when Ben stuffs him in his pocket on Friday
exactly.
night. Steve, thank you so much for joining us here on the Green Room. We'll be sure to catch up with you throughout the season, but best of luck for Friday.
Thanks, guys, and love the work you do. Thanks a lot.
Thanks, Steve. That wraps up the Green Room for this week. Apologies for a bit of dodgy Wi-Fi there. Things happen. We haven't been able to get people into the studio because we're conscious of unnecessary contacts in this area of COVID times, but going forward as restrictions ease, we'll be able to get players in here, and I'm sure Lachie will be keen because he's always up for a free giveaway. Just after Ben Garuccio, we went to the ad break. Lachie was offered a freebie. I can't believe it.
That's true. Must be nice. Must be nice. But hopefully we can get that happening as the season comes ahead, and also just get out and about with the players as well. I think we're both really looking forward to doing that. Yep. We obviously had a great time in Tasmania last year, getting to interact with the players and having coffee with Iker. I'm sure there's plenty of other of those sorts of memories that we can continue to make over the course of this season. But I think we'll get to that. But the immediate focus is this Friday, because I think it's possibly the game of the round.
Yeah,
at Amy Park.
It's pretty exciting, I have to say. The travelling circus that is Perth Glory this season coming to town.
And we mean that in the best possible way.
I mean, the star attraction, and Western United, no slouches themselves. We've talked about the calibre of foreign recruitment. a point to prove after going down 1-0 to victory last week. So make sure you get down to Amy Park Friday night, 7:45 p.m. Get your tickets because it's going to be 100% capacity. So it's going to be a good atmosphere. I'm looking forward to it. Lachie, it's been great having you on the show. It's been great seeing the interaction live on the social media channels. Make sure you get in touch with us here at FNR if there are particular guests you'd love to see on the show, questions you'd like asked, themes you'd like explored. We love the audience participation, so keep that coming. But until next week, it is goodbye for now.
Western United, can they find something here? Big chance, Barissa! He's done it again! And it's a goal! Unbelievable! What about this? Dylan Barrios, his first touch of the game. Sanchez! Western United do claim the 3 points. And Diamante again! Oh, he's done it! Twice! He's chipped a keeper!
Presented by Simonds. It's the Green Room on FNR, Football Nation Radio.